Morning. No. Hi, James here. Today's video, we're going to talk more about the minimal bag and how many discs are required to have a complete fun game, to enjoy disc golf, what's absolutely necessary. I'll be going into some different discs that I've used before. I'm testing a couple new ones out. I will be playing 2 rounds and sharing some shots from those and just highlighting how these discs did, how I feel about them, how they worked out for me. I'm not going to have perfect form as usual. You know, that's always a work in progress, but I want to emphasize it's about progress. It's not about perfection, and you can absolutely have progress without perfect form. I'll be doing some backhand, I'll be doing some forehand throws, and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, goats are just hanging out, eating their hay bale, and it's really nice out here tonight. So let's get into the round. Okay, so recently a viewer commented when I had posted about my minimal bag, the fact that there's perhaps debate on how many discs are necessary. Some people say 3, some say 5. Some win tournaments with just 1, and some carry this huge backpack full of discs. Probably most people carry some version of the larger number of discs. I've always just gravitated towards more of a minimalist setup. Get the most bang for your buck as far as minimal number of discs to get what you need done on the course. And that's kind of what I enjoy the most. Where are we at today? I'll go through my bag kind of in order of the slots that I've described that I like to use in the past. Also talk a little bit more about how this has evolved with time. So as I began learning disc golf, I started out with a disc that wasn't ideal because, you know, you think, oh, I want to throw far, I need a high-speed disc. So I started out with the Katana. I just found it at a local sporting goods store. Had a 13 speed, I think it's 13.5, -3.3 are the numbers. And it was a max weight disc. And I just played only with that disc for probably the first 6 months to a year. And I didn't play all that much. I bought my daughter a disc that was also a high-speed disc, and those were the 2 discs that we owned at the time. I started watching YouTube videos about disc golf, and I got into Jonathan from Latitude 64. Awesome, just hilarious guy to watch. He makes it so much fun. Anyway, the Fuse, that disc seemed like an awesome disc based on some of his content. So I got a mid-range, the Fuse, the Fuse became a nice mid-range disc that seemed like it went about as far as anything else. I bought one for my daughters as well, each of them, so we could all go and play our round, just throwing, you know, 1 or 2 discs and having a good time. From there, I was still interested in the minimal best bang for your buck. I went to Infinite Discs, talked to one of the employees there, and asked for recommendations. If I wanted just to play with 3 discs, what do you recommend? The guy I worked with, he recommended throwing the Dynasty. He recommended a throwing putter. I had never understood that there was such a thing as a throwing putter at that point. And you guys being nice. So I tried the throwing putter of the Tomb is what he recommended, and a putting putter of PA3. So that became my kind of disc golf minimal bag for a little while. The Dynasty, the Tomb, and the PA3. My favorite disc of all those ended up being the Tomb. That one, I found it was just wonderful throwing that thing rather than just putting with it. And it would go pretty far. So anyway, long story short, I continued to evolve. I started getting into other brands, and MVP, Discraft, and at this point, we've narrowed it down to 5 slots that I feel like are needed in disc golf for me. Now, mind you, I throw forehand and backhand, and so I don't have to rely on Anheuser backhand type throws if I want to curve to the right. So I haven't really developed that part of my game very well, but hopefully I will at some point. Either way, what we have in my bag, as I've explained before, are the driver's slots. We've got 2 discs. today, Mamba Defy. This is my max distance Mamba, and my Overstable driver, the Defy. I'll post the numbers of those. And then I've got a straight and overstable mid-range. Today that's a little different though. So the straight I've been working with is the Detour, and the overstable I normally have an overstable mid-range 5-speed. This is a 4-speed. This is the Entropy 4303. Basically like a zone, which I've never actually thrown a zone. But I decided I wanted to go with these two for my kind of mid-range slot, even though this disc, the Entropy, is considered a putter. It's overstable, and it seemed like a good thing to try out. Next, for my actual putter, get these back in, I have the Ohm, which I've been enjoying quite a bit. It's a high glide putting or throwing putter, and it's a 2501 disc. I find that this thing really flies far and straight. So let's talk through how my rounds went. So for the Mamba, we'll go in that same order. I had 3 throws I liked quite a bit that I have included here as highlights. The first one was a nice overstable, only about a 200-foot throw, where this thing landed right next to the basket. It was a mandatory go around the tree, and it landed right there with a forehand. So really happy with that throw. Next was a backhand throw, which was just a nice straight shot. It was a little bit uphill, so it didn't go quite as far as sometimes, but it really went, towards the basket, right where I wanted it to end up, and I was pretty happy with that throw. The third throw was one of my farther throws in recent weeks. This was a forehand throw where I threw this thing pretty hard and feel like it did more than I expected it to. I ended up going 325 or 324 feet and landed really close to the basket. And it actually surprised me how well that worked with forehand. It definitely showed some understability, had a nice S-curve in the flight, and it worked out great. So that excited me quite a bit about the Mamba. Really happy with it for my max distance slot right now. Is it my only contenders? No, there's still, other ones that I like, but this one's been working out really nice for me. Next we have the Defy. The Defy, I have a few shots that I've highlighted. First of which was another short one. A nice forehand around 200 feet, just around the trees and right to the basket, just parked right next to it. The next couple throws, my favorite of them was this hole that I've always struggled on. It's a couple videos ago, the Mamba, I got a throw on that hole that was the best I'd ever done on it. This week, I got two throws that were better than that one. First one was with the Defy, where this thing just landed, very close to the basket. So the Defy went straight initially and then curved around nice. I threw a hyzer forehand shot, which actually worked out, which it made me pretty excited. Best shot I've had with that hole ever. All right, next we have the Entropy. I've got 4 throws highlighted with this one. They're actually all backhand throws. So truly an approach disc, and that's kind of how I used it. I was throwing this disc and pleasantly surprised on how far it would go and how well it would do. I had some really nice throws around the trees, through the trees, and then even just kind of a nice flat straight shot that ended up going very close to a 277-foot away basket, which made me feel like, hyzered right in, made me feel like this thing has a pretty broad variety of uses for my game as it stands right now. So I did throw a little bit with this on forehand and did find that it worked out well for me. I just didn't have any that I really wanted to highlight with my forehand throws. Had a lot of great throws parked with this thing backhand next to the basket. So really liked this thing. Very awesome. I think it absolutely played the part in my, typical mid-range slot that would be the Overstable mid-range. And I just kind of bypassed the 5 speeds and went with the 4 on that one, and I was very pleasantly surprised. Very happy with it. So we'll definitely keep making use of that one. Next was the Detour. So with the Detour, I only had one decent throw that I was happy with. This is one where it was one that would have benefited from an Anheuser shot, but I just threw it straight and hoped that it would wrap around a little bit with its understability towards the right. But mostly just went straight. Went pretty far, but yeah, I feel like this disc, it's a little bit touchy for me. It goes back and forth with how happy I am with it. I feel like it's either a very straight disc with a hyzer flip type shot with a hyzer release, or with a flat release, it ends up turning a bit and then slowly fading down. I find that this can go far, but I'm a little inconsistent with it because of its slightly touchy nature. It does tend to want to, if I accidentally put some Anheuser on this thing, it's gonna just keep going to the right farther than I want it to. And so it might be a little up in the air. This slot might be a little up in the air. I want to try something with just a little bit more stability than this guy. So we'll see what we get. Speaking of which, I had my putter here, the Ohm. I only also highlighted a single throw from this disc. This was a nice straight shot right through some trees. I landed quite close to the basket. I was really happy with it. It did go a little past the basket. Same hole I had also thrown the Entropy, and it got a little closer to the basket than the Ohm did. But both totally usable shots for a birdie on a par 3. So the Ohm, I feel like, can fly just about as far as the Detour in general for me. I almost feel like this Ohm is possibly usable as a replacement for the Detour for my game. That's not definitive yet, but it's something I'm thinking about. So I feel like the Ohm has potential to go quite far. And it's a glidey disc. If it's windy, it's probably not going to be your choice, but if you've got that Entropy or similar disc that's got overstability, you're going to choose that on a windier day anyway. So I feel like of the 5 discs I've got, there's a little bit of a toss-up between whether I actually need this Detour when I have this putter. That's the Ohm. So pretty awesome. Really enjoyed using these discs, enjoyed getting out and throwing them. The philosophy of the minimal bag is something I'm going to keep trying to figure out and nail down. I just really feel like it's a little up in the air right now. Do I even need the Overstable 5 speeds if I have the Entropy? And do I even need the straight mid-ranges if I have the Ohm for my version of the game, right? With the distances I throw and the way I play, it's almost feeling like I only need 4 discs at the moment. So we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. How many discs do you feel are necessary? Am I really overlooking something with these 5 speeds this time, not feeling as needed? Let me know what you think. Also, if you've got a favorite set of discs, minimal disc wise, feel free to share. I know I've asked this in the past, but I love seeing how people go about setting up their bag in a more minimal way, right? Now, one thing that could be different is maybe you don't throw forehand. So my slots here with Overstable and straight don't necessarily work for you. You need to add in a third slot of understable, where you need an extra understable driver, an extra understable mid-range. That way you can curve around to the right with an Anheuser backhand throw. And that starts to add a few more discs in the mix, but we can still keep that pretty darn minimal. Hey goats. Leo, Ridge. Nobody get too close when Leo wants something. Hey buddy. Good boy. Scratch the head. You can't get in between those horns too well yourself. Although they will get a branch from the trees down there in between their horns and rub that. It's kind of funny. One more thought I want to make in this video. Just speaking of general, why do we get out and do this stuff? Why do we get out and disc golf? How does it benefit our lives? For me, it's such a nice escape from the normal day-to-day to get out in nature and do a little bit of disc golfing. It just feels good, and it takes your mind off of those things that might be a little bit heavier in life. And again, I just want to emphasize, you can make progress without being a perfect thrower. You're with perfect form. You can absolutely see progress, and that brings a lot of satisfaction. So enjoy your experimenting and learning as you go, and appreciate your watching my videos and sharing your experiences as well. Thanks.